someone, okay, welcome to fucking chatwater. I'm gonna fucking open with this. Someone posted some bullshit about like, hey, welcome to heaven. It's all the D&D stuff. Oh, it's 4E. And I'm like, look, I may have misconstrued myself. I'm not saying 4E's the best. All I've ever said is that 4E is good. Like, it knew what it wanted to be. It's like, yeah, we're a more like combat fucking system. Like 3.5 is still there. Pathfinder's still there. That's doing its thing. We're gonna do something else. And if you look at it as a response to Pathfinder, like it makes sense. I just don't understand.
I posted that
5E is the best, but like
I posted that in our group chat for context. I posted this meme in our Instagram group chat this morning, and I just waited because I knew Defner would come in with the hot take. It was Defner bait for sure.
It was like
2
minutes.
Usually it's like a day before Sean responds to anything. It's
not in the Instagram.
Not in Instagram.
On Facebook Messenger, Sean he has check unless we summon him.
Yeah, he's muted us.
I haven't muted you.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that like I've never been one for like fucking any sort of text-based like 4chan, Reddit. Like I've never been on any of that because like it takes me forever to read. And if I open my phone, you've got 67 messages from the group chat. All of them are variation on beans. I'm like,
not wrong.
You're not
wrong.
And
I also ignore the group on those.
I ignore the beans as well.
But one out of those 67 messages is going to be like, so we're all down to like have this important meeting on Wednesday, right? All right, sweet. Beans. Like,
one of the things
100%.
I have the hugest FOMO with the group when because I go to bed earlier than the majority of you children. And sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll see there was like a big rift that happened at like between the hours of 11:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Because I don't know why you guys are still up. But there will be like a huge text chain that happens. I'll be like, fuck, I missed all of it. Now and then I'll try and add in and everyone will wake up and they'll be like, yeah, whatever, Yannis, that's super old. We were done last night.
Our group chats are like, I feel like we're just like our group chats. I've been in part of a couple group chats before, but this one is like our Instagram and our Facebook group chats. This is quality. This is good.
Cover a broad spectrum of like
topics,
bean memes to important business stuff to life problems.
Yes, supportive.
I like it very much.
That is the thing. I'll always skim through to be like, has anyone had their heart broken today? Like, is anyone in crisis?
It's been a lot recently.
That's the thing you don't know.
The last 6 months.
Because sometimes the way we process is through bean memes. And so like,
true.
I do like, I'll look at it and I'm like, this doesn't require my response.
Doesn't. Deppner's not needed here, you know? Like, and then he's just in it with a hot take on Instagram so fast.
The Deppner bubble is the funniest bubble because some days you'll scroll and it's like a day and a half behind, and then it'll rocket and there will be no response. There'll be like a day and a half worth of conversation, nothing.
Look, unless it's addressed to me, you guys are having fun. I don't gotta add to that. Like, okay, we have to start the show. But me texting, I want to say what I want to say and then like walk away. But like y'all love having conversations. Like, yeah, we're spending the next 45 minutes doing this. I am a bad multitasker. If I'm texting, then I'm texting. If I'm not, I'm not. Like, I'll say my piece and then I'll go away. If you got something to say, then like I'll revisit it later. But
see, I appreciate that you're consistent. I can't stand it when people are like sometimes in it and sometimes out, but like I know exactly what to expect from you. And I love that. That's what I need in people in my life.
If I need Sean, I will message him personally, or if I really need him, I'll text him. So
yeah, and like it comes real quick.
You will respond very quickly.
Real quick.
Yes. Welcome to chatwater.
Oh yeah, welcome to chat. I just love that like sending someone a text-based message via Instagram, fucking Facebook, any sort of like direct message is like, okay, whatever. If you send someone a text-based text, it's like, it's like receiving a letter. It's like, oh, this is an official message.
Have been summoned. Yes. Welcome to chatwater, everyone.
Welcome to chatwater.
Also, Jen's here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Welcome you to chatwater.
Welcome to chatwater, Jen. We get there eventually. I think you know how it goes at this point.
Oh, I'm very used to that.
My favorite is always...
in like my life with y'all. It's fine.
My favorite is always when we have people on the show for the first time. And this show is different than the other one, where the other one we all hop on like 15 to 20 minutes before, and there's like quick like little housekeeping things, and we jump in. Chatwater we get on like half an hour before, and we riff for like a half hour, and then we eventually have to remind each other that we have to do the show, and then we jump into the show, and then we continue to riff until we realize like, oh, people are here to talk about the show.
We actually have to do the show now.
Yeah, and it's always funny to me when we have guests on for the first time, because they're like, oh, half an hour before I'm on, okay, and then it's like, what do you guys do? Oh, you'll see. Nothing really, but you know,
we just like talking.
Part of the process.
Like hanging out. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, welcome to Chatwater.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to all things spooky tonight.
Do we have to talk about sponsors? Because we always forget that.
We always have to talk about sponsors, and we
great.
Mostly forget, but we're gonna do it because our sponsors are amazing. If you have not had a chance to go check out the Meet the Makers one shot, please go do so. It is on our Twitch VOD.
Jen's in that. I don't know which direction she is relative to you.
It sounded very different than usual.
It was great. So fun. And you will get to see Jen play with Tiana and Keisha and Ben, DM'd by the fantastic Tim Carlson, set in a pre-Blackwater time period. I'm thinking it's like 300 to 500 years before Blackwater. So
I can't remember what Tim said,
I think
but yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there. He's probably saying exactly how far it was before in the chat right now. Thank you, Tim. But we love our sponsors so very, very much. That is Legendcraft. You can check them out at legendcraft.ca and also at legendcraft.ca on Instagram. They are makers of all things fantastic and woodworking. They have some amazing new things in the works, so that we have seen teaser pics of. So please, please, please go check them out. And if you like anything you see there, enter the code Blackwater at checkout for 5% off. And that your entering that code helps us at the show and helps this fantastic Canadian company do what they do. They're based in Calgary, and we love them so much. We also have a partnership with Silverwing Armory for all things paper products and lore keeping. Our lore keepers kit just found its way to our winner's house. Yep, it arrived today, and I got some fantastic pictures from our winner, Drew. So thank you, Drew. Those are up on our story, as well as some special little gifts sent from Neppy. So, you know, this is what happens when you get mail from Blackwater. So if you like anything at Silverwing Armory, please go check them out at silverwingarmory.ca. There's an Etsy store as well. Check them out on Instagram and enter the code Blackwater at checkout for the 10% off. We also are partnered with Fairy Dragon Dice. Keisha from Fairy Dragon Dice is just the sweetest and most delightful. And we have all of our dice that will be in our hands by next weekend. So we'll be able to roll with our dice this weekend. Yes, so Keisha is sending them to me, and I'm going to hand deliver them to all of you. The last set of dice that we just released Kokanee dice on Instagram, which are just
good.
So pretty and lovely. And then we will be releasing Tim's dice tomorrow. So his set is a special kind of amalgamation, and you will see what it looks like. So we are so grateful and thankful to Keisha for all of the work she's done, because she's delightful. And also a big congratulations to Keisha, because she got married this week. So yay, Keisha!
And she still finished Kokanee's dice this week. What a monster!
And
Tim's played our one shot.
And played our one shot.
And played in a one shot.
I don't want to give away too much about Tim's dice, but I generally don't like dice that are in Tim's sort of idea. I don't know if we've explained exactly what Tim's dice are like, but they're not a standard like one thread of color.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually a fan of it, but these all work together so wonderfully that like when I saw it, I was like, I want a set like that now. Like I want a set that's not single continuous kind of thing.
Yeah, they're so cool.
We'll get there. That'll make sense when the pictures are up, but
please keep an eye on our Instagram for tomorrow. They're so good. They're so good. So please go check her out at fairydragon_dice on Instagram. Give her a follow. She does shop updates like once every month or two. If you are lucky enough to take home any of her precious math rocks, you will be very lucky indeed. Clickety clackety math rocks. You'll be very lucky indeed. So yeah, those are all the people that we work with, and we love them very much, and we're very, very fortunate. And also big shout out to Tiana just for being awesome. She sent me 2 beautiful, just like late night Neppy doodles, and I was just like, what? And I cried. So I love Tiana, and we all love Tiana, and she's the best. And she did our little logo that we use that is on the box. I think down, I don't know, somewhere.
You see it.
You'll see it. It's all air.
The one that's not moving.
Yeah, the one that's not
the one
moving
that's
is a drawing.
secretly coding.
It's secretly coding.
Don't tell anybody.
But yes, Tiana is our campaign artist for this campaign, and she works so hard and is hard at work chatting with us about our level 15 character portraits.
I feel like
we're not level 15 yet, but we're getting there.
No, see, I personally feel like it's a little preemptive to have to start working on the portraits because we don't know if everyone's going to make it to level 15 yet. I'm just saying. The money hole is scary.
It's scary. Did you guys see Did you see the Instagram post I posted today of what the tunnel looks like?
Yeah. I realized it was a bad time not to prepare all my subterranean spells.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's not gonna be a mine. We just came from one of those. I don't need to bring all those because I'm just seeing all the blocked up passages. I was like, oh, that's an easy one for letters on a good day.
I know.
Well,
Well, hopefully we get a chance to sleep.
We'll play that on Saturday.
We get that on
Today,
Saturday.
We're here to talk about something a little more spooky and a little more little.
Shall we roll the intro?
Let's
roll our intro.
Okay, let's roll that. I am gonna leave. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Yes.
Jazzy. So fun.
I love that Sean has to clarify that he's gonna leave every time now.
He doesn't always.
I know.
I just sometimes I'm like, I don't think we have it's a very brief opening. And
it's 12 seconds, maybe 14.
I feel like
he likes to watch it from the corner.
Sometimes you do. Because
the first time he did that, I was watching and I was like crying, laughing. He's like, "Oh, it's so nice. No one
doesn't know that we can see
or hear him.
Yeah. Just a treat. Just a treat.
That was the group of Facebook messages he skimmed.
that is what it's like being in a group chat with me. You know I'm seeing.
We talked about this. Well, you talked about it. I was kind of there.
I was just there. Yeah.
I feel like if there's one failing with me in this whole stream, is I'm the only one doing this from an iPad. So
that is more challenging.
Yeah. Because I'll see very on brand. I'll see little secret chat things from people in the thing where it's like, hey, here's something you should know, and it's up for 2 seconds and then disappears, and I have no idea how to access it. So Cody sent me something earlier today. But while you're reading sponsors, I don't know what he said because I missed it. I didn't jump on it right away. Also, if the message is too long, I don't know. So the nice thing about being on the iPad, it keeps you very present.
Yes.
Because all you have is the people with you. But the people we're here to talk about is Jen, Yanna.
We're getting
Spooky.
there.
Here we are.
Hi. What is a spooky?
What is
first
a spooky?
Question. What is a spooky?
Welcome.
Broad first question.
A spooky is when you're a little bit scared, but not too much. Just a spooky.
And so, this stop me from this getting too personal. Why did you choose to be a spooky?
Okay, so this is honestly, okay, so Matt and I both created our characters for a one-shot that we were going to play, which is how this campaign started. Actually, I think we created them for a different campaign that never happened, which was also going to be silly, but we brought them to the one-shot. And I have this pair of leggings that's skeleton legs, and Matt hates them and he calls them my spooky pants. And I thought it would be really funny to play a character named Spookypants because at the time he hated them so much. And I was like, well, that sounds like maybe a necromancer. And then I was like, oh, it'd be so funny if she was little. And that's how I became Spookypants. That's the real life story. A pair of pants that Matt doesn't like. And it turns out we all don't like.
All D&D characters start off with best ones start off with the weirdest tangential. This is why I've created my character was to feed this one bit.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, that could just be her actual name. But I was looking at the backgrounds. It was the second character I had ever built. And I found the fugitive one. And I was like, oh, what if that's not her real name? What what if she's like a criminal? So that's like where I ended up taking that.
I love how there's like a whole thing about like backgrounds and like traits and all that stuff. And the more you play, the more you just skip that. In the beginning, you're like, yeah, I'm going to pick a background and I'm
Right?
going to
roll for my bonds and my flaws and my ideals.
Like, I'm going to roll for that item that I randomly have that has a connection to it. And then by the end, you're like, you plug in the bare minimum and you're like, man, I'll make up the rest as we go.
Yeah.
I think it's good when you're starting though to have those like kind of things because it forces you to make connections and stuff. It's nice.
So good. It's so good. But while we're talking about backstory, that's what we're here for. Is what don't we know? Because I don't know it. What don't we know about Jen? I mean, fuck Yanna. That like presumably the rest of the party knows. And if you still have deep dark secrets, you know, save it for the table.
Okay.
But, like,
okay.
Because Kokanee, I think, knows pretty much. Like Neppy fucking knows everything, I guess. Like, but we, the viewer, Yannis don't know.
Question.
None of them know.
I have a question. So you came in. You played your first session was with Matt.
Episode 1.
Oh, you were there from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Did you have
it was a New Year's session.
Did you have any relations with any of the other characters? Sometimes people come in as like groups or duos.
Yeah, Matt and I decided from the beginning that our characters came in together, and then we kind of like parsed out like what that looked like later on. So
how did Yanna and Kokanee know each other pre-campaign?
The way we worked it out is that Yanna was either hiding or working in a bookstore, and Kokanee just came like crashing in through the window one day.
Great.
And she was when he came in, she was like researching a magical item that helped people forget memories and things like that, or alter memories, because she wanted to use it on the officials at Barmwich and go back home. So Kokanee came in and he was running from somebody who was chasing him. And she introduced herself as Spookypants because she just happened to be wearing Spookypants. He hadn't figured out a name yet, so she was like, here we go. So they kind of just worked together to go find the artifact because he was an artifact hunter, and hoped there would be other things there. But when it got down to it, like the actual artifact, mercenaries from Barmwich were hunting her down. So she actually had to use the artifact so that they wouldn't end up killing one of them. And that's kind of how they became sort of friends. They're both like, I mean, you guys have talked about Kokanee already, but they're both really closed off characters at that time. Like Yanna couldn't trust anyone because she was on the run. So they're more like partners than anything. Like they knew they could trust each other because Yanna like saved their life, but
like a friendship of circumstance or necessity at that point.
Yeah. They still like knew next to nothing about each other. Like they sort of kind of started opening up, but by the time they met the rest of the group in episode 1, they were still just kind of like, yeah, carry me, haha, like functional friends. Yeah,
because we all met in a tavern in the very first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally started meeting in a tavern. Of course. And I can't wait for when we actually get to start talking about like the early days and those early couple days of the campaign, because Sean, I don't think, or nor Yannis, neither of you know anything about that.
There's a guy called Zacchus who's a dick.
Yeah. This is like even before that. We had like little mini arc and stuff before that, because we started at level 5. So yeah, we all met in a bar in Tor N, and like I think Spooky and Kokanee are the only 2 people who were at that New Year's Eve party that Tim and I had that one evening, who are still in the campaign. But yeah, it's so wild to feel like, because that like Neppy and Spooky have known each other since day 1.
So what made you choose to play such a because you're a necromancer, but you're a very sort of like gentle, kind-hearted character, which is usually like opposite of what we would imagine a necromancer to be. What made you decide to play a character that's so opposite to their class?
I think a little bit
in me loves the irony of that and the paradox of having like a friendly necromancer. But I think it's also maybe just a reflection of like who I am as well, like my likes and stuff. Like I do like witchcraft and things like that and spookier stuff, but I'm also just like me and I'm pretty friendly. So I think the more and more I play Yanna, the more and more I'm just like, oh yeah, this is just I am her. I get it. She's not completely me, but she's definitely a big reflection of me in one way. So I think that's kind of why.
Yeah, because I love that dynamic that you have, because I mean both Neppy's character should be pretty violently opposed to Yanna, but Yanna's so likable.
It is sometimes.
But she's so likable and she's so genuine that like not even Neppy can fault her for what she does. Do you know what I mean?
Like everybody just puts up with it. Like there was a scene once where like our horses got killed in battle.
Oh my gosh.
And I resurrected the horses right afterwards so they could keep carrying our carriage. And I was like, haha, that's so fun. And Tim described the horrific like rising of the horses, and Yanna's just like laughing. And the whole party, like I think the humans like and the actual player characters were looking at me like she's so like she's so
cute,
happy about
like,
it.
no,
like, we can't be mad, but also ew.
Neppy was like not okay with the whole thing, and like this horses kept pulling the cart, and she's like, I'm just gonna pretend that this is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna abide and know that I can turn them to dust at any moment if I absolutely need to.
Yeah, I'm curious about that journey, because now you two seem like you got something worked out. You know, there's some spoken or unspoken. There's an understanding, but I've heard it being sort of a reference to a source of great tension early on, and it has been a minute since. And I don't know if on the stream we've actually seen dear old Yanna actually necromance anybody back from the dead. At least she's put a few people in the ground, but the last time she had some skellies running around, it wasn't before a live studio audience.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
But yeah, no, Yanna hasn't resurrected anything since she found out her pants were possessed. Like she stayed away from a lot of that. But I think, well, okay, there's like the real life storyline of like my reason for not using necromancy very much. And then there's Yanna. My reason is that the necromancy class is like pretty blah. Like you can't do much with it. Like I love it as a character choice for Yanna, but like technically, like in game, like I can raise a few undead who will like get like torn down in one hit. So what's the point? So like that's kind of that line of it. But the other line is like Yanna kind of knows it grosses out her friends and was like had possessed pants for a while. So like there's two kind of things going on there as to why we haven't seen her resurrect things for a while. Although she did prep it the other day. She's not prepped it since the pants.
Okay.
I guess this is the first big adventure we've been on post pants.
Post pants.
Post pants. Yes, that's how we mark time now. Is pre-pants, during pants, and post-pants.
Oh, yeah,
no, we can't do pre-pants and post-pants because the abbreviations will be way too confusing.
No, it's PEP and POP. It's pep and pop.
Pep and pop.
Okay.
Lowercase and uppercase.
So yeah,
little
Pop,
PP and
she
big PP.
prepped it, but yeah, still hasn't used it.
I think it was, I don't know, I think it was a source of like, definite for Neppy. It was like discomfort with the fact that she was like, I'm supposed to trust a necromancer. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Like, no. And for the longest time, like Neppy wouldn't touch Wiggles, would not touch him because of, even though he's Fae, like the whole thing about him being an undead spider, it was like, no. And then early on, it was like, Neppy was like, okay, Yanna's legit. She's good. And there was something Yanna had said once about just wanting things to be fixed and just wanting things to be better in the world. And this is the way she knew how to do it. And Neppy was like, I understand that. I understand that there's sometimes a means to an end. for things, and even if you have to bring things back from the end, they're going to go back there eventually. That's like, and I think Neppy would be one of the first people to be like, Yanna, no liching, please. Like,
but what if there was that one time Zamrod was like, hey, you want to stay and be a lich? And I was like,
yeah, you considered it. You legitimately considered. I watched the wheels turn in your head.
It was to say I'm not still, but only so I could kick his butt. Like I really hated Zamrod. But yeah, no, that's her whole thing. She just wants to fix things. Like she's a child of separated parents. She had like stuff go down in her childhood, and then like her whole life was thrown out of her control. So she just wants to fix things. Even if that's death.
Tell us that story, because like I know some of it from what we've shared in game, but like tell us the like, because I mean we've vaguely alluded to the stuff that happened in Barmwitch, but
right.
We haven't gone through the arc of like the Barmwitch arc. So like tell us about Spooky and why she left Barmwitch.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what you know.
Yes, that's true.
A lot
Save the rest for the table. Yeah.
But basically, she grew up in Barmwitch. She was kind of considering two paths in her life. Mom was like fairly like on the like martial law side of Barmwitch, like, and dad was like kind of hippy dippy, living in the woods side of Barmwitch. So she was trying to decide between that. And when she did, she decided to go into politics because she just likes helping people and fixing things. So she thought that would be a way to do it. You know, sometimes people go into politics with a noble
aspirations, noble intentions.
Yeah. But yeah, and she was working for like a polling company, I guess, and ended up just being kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Cora Thorn Gage, she caught her tampering with the ballot and rigging it so Filda would win. And when she tried to tell somebody about it, they basically made it look like she was tampering with the ballot. And was a traitor, so she had to run. And then like I think Fildo and Cora both like blew the story out of proportion because like the wanted posters always said different things. But yeah, she ran away.
I remembered that moment in game where you like pulled out a wanted poster out of your book. And you just showed it to all of us because we'd all been calling her Spookypants for the whole thing because, of course, we had no reason to call her anything else. And then she goes, "My name is not Spookypants." And we were like, "What?" And she was like, she unfolded this wanted poster and we were like, "Oh my gosh." And it was just like, and then she revealed her name was Yanna. And I was like, what? It was like such a good reveal. It was pretty late on. Like it was a while into the campaign too. Yeah. It was awesome.
I held on to it for quite a while, and Kokanee had seen that poster, but he hadn't seen the name,
right?
Or the like reason attached to it. He just like knew why or like that they were looking for her. Yeah, I like made the poster like because I knew it was coming soon. Like because where were we? I think we were in Faway Tavar the first time Tim dropped any Barmwitch stuff on me.
Yes, the stuff with Cora and the glitter guard up in Faway Tavar.
Yeah, they were about to kill Nessa, and Cora or Fildo was there. I can't remember. Maybe both.
I think both of them were there. Yep. Yeah. They were the attaché from Barmwitch. Both of them were there, and you just like totally were just like, this is bad.
Oh, yeah, I was like hood up. Like Yanna didn't used to like have like her face exposed at all. Like she had her hood up all the time, like you could barely see her face. But we were kind of like in the shadows at that point, and then Neppy called out Zacchus because they were about to kill Nessa, and it brought all the attention towards us. And she just like turned to Kokanee and went, "I gotta go," and like cast Alter Self and like booked it, and she ran. That was like a big moment for her because she like left her friends like or tried to like in that moment, and she'd been traveling with them for like I don't know how long at that point.
That was in Core Channel of 2375, so 4 months.
So what? She ran away, but what brought her back?
Well, it was in the middle of a combat, so she like tried to run away, but a lot of the party ended up going like in the same direction as her because they were like, I don't know why you're running away. So the running didn't go very far, and by the end of the combat, we were like in a sewer, and Callie was there, and we found Jar. So like the whole thing kind of just like went away.
Because we had essentially saved Nissa from being executed. Spooky did that. Like Spooky was just like, Nissa, just let it happen, and banished Nissa. Right, essentially to like a pocket dimension, because Zachus was trying to suffocate Nissa with like a publicly execute her with suffocation in front of Faway Tavar, in front of like the entire like town of Faway Tavar, because Nissa had taken the war machine from Shinkick and essentially like crashed it through the walls of the city of Faway Tavar, and they'd captured her. So we essentially stayed the execution by removing Nissa, and then like someone in the party got in there and got Nissa out, and then we were to be able to create a big enough distraction to like get everyone away, and we like took Nissa away somewhere to hide her for a while the rest of us, like Kokanee and Torin, went on like a tear throughout the streets, just like drawing people in different directions. My gosh, they were just like destroying. They were just wrecking people left, right, and center through the alleys of Faway Tavar, while like myself and Spooky and no, Callie wasn't with us, so myself and Spooky and a couple other folks who were with us at the time were like, and Neva was there. Neva like helped us get into the safe house, so that we could hide away, because then we just became like wanted criminals, because Zachus was the head of the Thexan Academy, the Thexan Academy, and he was like the archmage of the Thexan Academy, and was getting on the council, or had ties to the head council in Wolfreen and all that kind of stuff. So it was bad news bears. We were in dire straits there for a while, and then we got smuggled out of the city through the sewers. Like Kamea, Kern Burnman, and Neva helped smuggle us through the sewers, and that's where we met back up with Callie, and that's where we found Jar, and how we got everybody out of the city and made our way to Wolfreen for the very first time. Yeah.
So did you became a necromancer after you left, like after you were found out, when you went on sort of your dark path as a criminal? I love the fact that you were like a criminal for like, I don't want to say like the most white collar crime, but like it was like voter tampering, and you were like, yeah, I'm Spookypants, I'm this hardened criminal necromancer. Oh yeah, what do you want it for? Voter tampering.
You got to tell them where you got the pants from, though.
Oh yeah,
where did the pants come from?
They were in a temple just outside of Hartsvale, I think.
Yeah.
Hartsvale is one of the cities that's around Barmwich. We went through there, and Letters fought somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
Oh,
it's the Furbolg town.
Yeah, it's the Furbolg town. Yeah.
Hey, bud.
What's that guy's fucking name? I forget him.
Bayhorn.
Bayhorn. I remember Tornum. Fucking Bayhorn. Bayhorn's all right. He's a fucking good old boy.
Actually,
anyways,
we've forgotten how this show works. I think Sean needs to tell us how I found my pants.
100%.
And then I'll see how he does.
I have a hard time with like
so
when it's actual people, because I'm like, not to say like when it's lore, it's one thing, but like
yeah. No, I want to hear this one specifically.
This is your fantasy baby. Like, we
John's
must be
precious
gentle
about
with the
fantasy
baby.
babies.
Yes, I am. So from what I understand, because we have been, Letters have been to the temple that you found your pants. So like, I know it happened. It was like a temple. It was like a watchtower. It basically, if you were to imagine, don't fail me now, Lord of the Rings reference, Weatherkeep? Was that the fucking watch, or is it Weather Watch? Fuck it. That tower from Fellowship of the Rings that all the hobbits hang out at. And then they're like, oh, we're cooking sausages. Put it out, you fools, put it out. If you're to imagine, I swear to, I'm going to say it's
That's
Weatherkeep.
totally what I pictured.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way,
I read your brain.
Yeah.
So if you're to picture Weatherkeep, that's both I and Jen do. But then you're like, oh, it's here somewhere, and you grab one of the rocks and you push it in, and the moss sort of comes off and goes, and a big secret staircase comes down, and you And so that's what you did. You're like walking around, you're going for a jog because you're a wanted criminal. You're jogging away from the authorities.
And you did one of those exercise.
Like, oh, I'm so tired. Let me get a lean. And you put your hand on the one stone and just like, and then it opened up. You're like, well, what else am I gonna do? And so you went down in, and you found yourself in an old necromancer's man cave. And there was like foosball, but the little foosball dudes are skeletons.
I like this so much. Keep going.
There was a lot of
my
just
whole
like
life on this show.
a lot of like death metal posters, which there's no twist there. That's the most fucking necromantic genre of music. There was like a drum set, like it was all right. And there among the PS1 games and sweet chili heat Doritos, you found like a scrunched up pair of these spooky pants. And you're like, man, I have been jogging away from the authorities for days. I have vicious swamp crotch. I'm gonna need me some new pants. And so you looked around, you're like, hey, anybody here? No, abandoned like thing. So you swapped and you're like, wow, these fit great. And they're like, yes, we do. We also talk to you. And yeah, you're like, oh, I think these are Pearson size pants, like a human being. But then you put them on and they shrunk on down to spooky size. And you said, I think I'll wear these forever.
Maybe the pants said, you'll wear these forever.
That's pretty much it.
Sometimes you find the fit and you're like,
Sometimes it finds you.
Sometimes it finds you.
That's pretty close, I think.
Honestly, yeah. She was running away. She'd been in Hartsvale for a while, I think. She's been in Ice Meat as well. In Hartsvale, she went by.
What is the name of that?
Did she go by in
Hartsvale? Is it Ice Meat?
Meat, MEET.
Ice Meat.
Okay, because I just hear ice meat like in the freezer. Like, oh, we're gonna need some ice meat. Like, you got punched in the face, put some ice meat on. Anyways, sorry, you've been to Ice Meat, which
in Ice Meat, she was a barmaid named Pup.
Yep.
Yep. Had like big, like curly, like hair in a bun. And then
do you think that job's still waiting for you? If you go back?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, that job is still waiting for you.
He said he was when we saw him last. And then you also know that in Hartsvale, she was Lemon Fable for a bit, a blonde bard who was not very good. So she left after she left Hartsvale. She found the pants in the temple and kind of felt drawn to them. She's always kind of been drawn to necromancy for reasons that you still don't know. But yeah, so she hung on to the pants. And soon after she met Wiggles. And I don't know if you know this. I think maybe I've talked about it, but Wiggles is the first thing she ever brought back from the dead. That's why he's her familiar.
Yeah.
Did she do it on purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yep. Why did she bring back a spider? Did it die in front of her? Did she accidentally sit on it, or?
She's always kind of been friends with animals. It was like the thing she did when her parents were fighting. She would kind of like go off into the forest and talk to animals because that's what gnomes do, I guess.
It's
a forest gnome trait. It is a forest gnome trait. That's why she can talk to animals. That like Wiggles was a friend. She like the first like friend she found in her journey, and one that she thought she could keep safe until she didn't, because he's a spider and he dies eventually. But yeah, she brought him back.
So presumably then between say level 2 and 5, there is just an untold like wealth of stories of like Wiggles and Yanna like going from town to
Yanna's
town,
old,
avoiding the law, and getting into hijinks. Like,
yep.
Like if
Yanna's
we ever,
older than all of us. Like
when
Yanna
we do
100%.
our comic book time,
she's middle-aged for a gnome, which is like 80.
I want the Yanna and Wiggles, Calvin and Hobbes spinoff.
I want that too.
Of just like 3-panel strips of them getting into shenanigans.
So, Sean, firstly, I did look it up. It's weather top.
Fuck.
But
What did I say? Weather keep?
Weather
watch.
keep or weather watch. You didn't have either. But
you were
fucking
close.
rookie
Close,
move.
very
No,
close.
no. Fuck that.
We're not going down the Lord of the Rings hole tonight. Secondly, so did the pants used to talk to you?
No, they've never
Okay,
talked.
I wasn't sure if that was a legit thing or not.
So
No, it's fun because Tim does this really
he had
great.
everything right down to the foosball, but like, they don't talk
Tim does
enough.
this really great spooky pants voice where he's the pants who's like, hello there. Yanna. We're gonna bring some people back from
he's
the dead
never done
today.
that voice, but could.
No. It was a shame because he doesn't do it. He didn't like it was over at once. We
He was
started
ready.
screaming.
Yeah.
But like when I got there, it was like now she messages her parents, but like before it was like, end of a comment encounter. How you doing, pants? Oh, spooky. I'm doing just fine. What we really showed those? What for?
I feel like it would just be Velsum's voice if the pants were to actually talk.
I
It
think you know
Velsum's voice.
exactly what the voices are because I did
Yes.
a exquisite.
You did an
impression
exquisite
of it
impression.
just now.
I think it would be the Letterkenny
Guys,
voice because that's where she found him.
No, we already found the voice. We don't have
So
to keep looking
for
for
some-
it. It's canon.
For some context about the temple that Spooky found her pants in, it was a temple to Thara's Dune. And when we revisited it on our way through back from Hartsvale to Barmwich, or like just outside of, because we came back, the Barmwich arc happened after the Feywild. So like we popped back in from the Feywild, not where we'd left. We'd left on the other side of the continent in Alderwood, and we were bamfed all the way over to just outside of Hartsvale, but we were like right near the tower. Spooky recognized where we were, and we went back down to reinvestigate, and we found a bunch of cultists in the basement.
She just never went to the basement.
Yeah, which Yanna just incinerated just in like one go. You just like fireball, just gone. Everything was burnt in there. But there was this like spiral pattern in the floor, like the symbol of Thara's Dune was carved into the floor, and it looked like it was like there was like little holes in the floor. And I think it was Callie who cut herself on something. And blood dripped onto the floor, and the floor like went alight, and this yellow gross and magical energy started emanating, and it like attacked Yanna's pants and gave her yellow pinstripes on her pants. So it just like if they were like a legendary item, it went them from like dormant to awakened. So it gave them more powers. And like I think Finnan at that point just threw Yanna over his shoulder and just got her out. Because we were like, this is bad. And then Neppy was like, everybody needs to leave. You're all going out. I'm going to hallow this place. It's going to take me 24 hours. Just go and have 24 hours. And I'm going to just be here and hallow this until it was done.
And then Yanna couldn't take her pants off.
You could not. I think the montage that was happening outside while Neppy was hallowing was that everyone was trying to take Yanna's pants off and failing miserably until the curse was removed.
Was that where I pitched we could cut Yanna in flame?
Yeah, you did.
You've pitched that multiple times. That's not the first. That might have been the first time you've pitched
as
it.
well.
But you pitched it on stream.
It was
We're
definitely the
both
first time on
wizards coming
stream
from
was
my
when I pitched that. No. That definitely was a later progression. I still think that's a fun idea. Because
like when we were trying to take, so the pants themselves were a phylactery. Like they were one of Velsum's phylacteries, and they had their own special name called Dela's Betrayal. So it was a Horcrux, essentially. Part of his essence went into those pants. And then when we destroyed the other phylacteries and Yanna died, his essence went into Yanna. And so she was.
And that's when we need to cut her in half.
That's it.
That's it. You got it.
In half.
Why didn't we? Because I feel like
I don't know.
I
would have been a lot
so many
spookier that way.
reasons.
There's a lot of reasons. I think Neppy said no. I think Neppy said like my regeneration magic doesn't work like that.
No, I think it does. If you can grow back, turn burn.
Can you grow back? Important. Can you grow back Yanna torso and head and arms from the legs and legs from the other
No,
half.
you can only grow down. It's wherever the head is, you grow from there. You only get the one brain.
That's not true. You can't grow the torso. It's only limbs, my dudes.
Imagine
it's only limbs.
But like belly button below is fine. Like these aren't high-waisted pants.
Yeah.
They were canonically high-waisted.
High-waisted leggings. Yeah.
There's just like a strip missing. It's like belly button and the legs come straight out of the belly button. There's just like a strip missing.
Devastating.
Okay, we can put the cut in half business to bed, but I feel like that's some classic magician shit, and like cutting a wizard in half is pretty fucking on brand.
It's a good bit.
That side railed us. What were we talking about? Probably Yanna.
We're talking about your pants. Yeah. And we were talking about how does it feel to be spooky pants without the pants?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yanna she has new pants, but Yanna has always been like super indifferent. Like it's very interesting for her. Like, I guess like there was a very long time where she was just Yanna. But from being on the run for so long and being so many different people, she's like really desensitized to names. So like, I feel like the group carries a lot more like, fondness for her name than she does. She's like, nah. Like, and a lot of different people, it's not like names are not a big thing to her.
What does Yanna's perfect Sunday look like?
Yes. Please dish.
Yanna's perfect Sunday. Probably like a little bit of like reading in her tower.
Yeah, you have a whole tower at the Blackwater.
I love
that for you. That's so good.
It's a good vibe. Probably some reading in her tower, maybe picking flowers with Wiggles, and then hanging out with her friends. She's a really big fan of having friends. Like she didn't for a long time, right? So yeah.
So
hanging out with y'all.
Does it does Yanna have feelings for Clack?
Oh, why?
No. You don't have to tell us that. You don't have to tell us that. It happens at the table.
Well, okay, from what you've seen at the table, because I feel like this has been going on a lot longer than streaming, right?
So long.
So
it's been going on about as long as Clack has existed.
Yes.
Yeah. So Clack is something that Sean breathed into existence, but Matt made him part of the way he is because he played Clack for an episode while Kokanee was teleported back to the material plane. So Matt's whole thing, because like Kokanee and Spooky are just like pals, and Matt and I are dating in real life. Matt's like whole thing is to have a character that either is in love with me or makes me fall in love with him. So that was his goal for Clack, is to like have this like pet who's just a little bit taller than Yanna, and definitely has feelings for her. And he played Clack for like 1 or 2 episodes, and then Tim took Clack and
ran with it
and was like, I see what you're doing and I'm gonna keep doing that. So that's why Clack has feelings for Yanna. But as far as you've seen in game, like Yanna has no clue. The only times we've seen any sign of like sexuality from Yanna is like when she met Callie. She was like, hi, big pretty lady. And she's done that a few other times towards like Lex as well.
Oh yeah.
But like other than that, she's a pretty like romantically and sexually oblivious character. Like I play into her perception being really low. Like she doesn't notice that sort of
Doesn't
thing.
pick up on those social
I'm
cues.
very aware. But yeah, I mean, you saw in the scene the other day where she was just like genuinely like, oh, I had no idea that's what was happening here.
Because there's been times where Yanna and like the party has known that Clack has carved statues of Yanna.
Oh, and there she knew about that too.
Yes, and there was a tasteful nude in there somewhere.
A
non-consensual carving of a tasteful nude. But yeah, so I love Clack's chasing of Yanna
I
in
live
like the
for it.
sweetest. It's the best.
There's nothing I love more than Tim being uncomfortable Clack. Like, fuck. When we were like,
Buddy.
oh, let's just go over
Every-
to fucking Yanna's mom's place. We could go right now. I love that Letters has teleport and he can just make things happen now.
Boom, gone.
Every time we have met a male gnome, Clack has been so uncomfortable.
So
Like-
mad.
Like
So
we
mad.
met Peplum in a bar. He was
Yep.
like the first person who kind of like led on to Yanna being like, yeah, I am not spooky, because he knew who she was. And Clack was like, I fucking hate that guy.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with Ectarius, like, and Yanna just like liked hanging out with him because he liked Wiggles, and that was it.
Yeah,
And
any
he was
male
like, oh, I
gnome,
hate that guy.
Clack is immediately very threatened, like very
yeah,
threatened.
Yeah. Right away. Yeah, but yeah. So I guess you already have an answer to that, Yanis.
So has Yanna had any? I mean, yeah, you said that Yanna is middle-aged for a gnome.
Mm-hmm.
Has she had romantic relationships, or not that's been discussed on stream, or?
Not that's been discussed on stream now.
Because I feel like that's kind of like a part of every other character's, like, not their arc, but like it's a part of it, right? Like Kokanee and Nepenthe are together, and Callie's got Kamea, and Letters has like a million exes that keep popping up, and
Not necessarily exes. I got I got told that the other day.
but yeah, so like, you know, Spooky's the only one who, other than the unwanted advances, she's the only one who doesn't really have like even a sort of platonic relationship other than her friends, I guess, outside of the group.
Yeah, she's very careful about who she chooses to have close to her after being a fugitive for so long. Like, she had a couple of friends here and there, but then like either bad things happened to them, or like she had to leave because of who she was. So like even with Blackwater for a very long time, she was very guarded. So I think romance and like sexuality are just things she hasn't thought of in a really long time, and they were never really a priority for her anyway. So we'll see. Maybe it stays the same. That might just be her.
Oh, all right. Oh gosh, I gotta fill the. So here's some facts. Here's things we know to be true.
Some facts.
So on Valencia the 13th of 2740.
Yep.
PP.
PP.
PP. PEP.
No. This is
Pop?
Pep.
Pep or Pop?
Pep? Okay.
This is Pep. Yanna was at Barmwich, which is a place, and oh god, this is hard without her.
So
Oh, okay. Do you want to dig into the whole Barmwich thing?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Jen, take the reins.
But I'm so curious as to what you describe the Barmwich arc as.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's the Barmwich arc. Let me tell you about the You want to know about the Barmwich arc? You're just in time, Em. I'm talking about the Barmwich arc. Barmwich,
Get
as
into
we
it.
know, is the gnome halfling town where everything is tiny and you have to watch your head when you walk into places because you're gonna bump it.
Yes.
A lot of very low hanging chandeliers. A
Golden.
lot of. There's actually the one theme park in Barmwich is there's actually a limit of how tall you can be.
Is it called
to
the
ride
Barmwich
the
arc?
rides.
Is that what you're describing?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Barmwich arc is actually this really big roller coaster that goes it's simultaneously roller coaster / like monorail. That's like how people get around in the town. No, this is dumb. Okay, so here's what happened in the Barmwich arc. I'm genuinely trying here. Oh, fuck.
You weren't there for this very start of it, but you were there to see it carried out.
Yes.
Oh, are we at the meat prison? Oh, yeah.
But prior to, this is like when we were in Barmwich proper before we went.
All right. You got to know there's a power couple. Fildo Thorngage.
Yes.
And Nigel Thornberry. No, what's her name?
I like this universe better. Keep going.
Mariam.
Dig in.
Do you want her name or do you just want to keep going?
Dig in.
No,
dig in.
now
Let
it's
him
just
dig.
it's gonna be Tim Curry. So Nigel Thornberry was the queen. So Fildo and Nigel are like the ruling dyad of fucking Barmwitch because Nigel cheated on the fucking election and framed Spooky, of course. Yes. And so they've been running it, and so just wherever you go, nature documentaries, talking animals, cargo shorts, big mustaches, and that's not really the aesthetic. And so including when the last queen or something vacated the throne of Wolfar, Fildo was like, hey, I'm a bard. Check out my hot wife, Nigel Thornberry. You all have to elect the next leader. Skimmy Scam Skablam. You want to elect them? And they all went, yes, we are charmed. In every meaning of the word. Jeez. We elect Nigel Thornberry. And so
he's doing pretty good so far. He's doing pretty good.
So yeah. Also, picturing Nigel Thornberry as a queen of Wolfreen is like a really good time. I highly recommend. Keep going.
If anyone want to do fan art out there,
please don't. We can't be sued by Nickelodeon.
we can't afford it. Please
we can't afford it.
I want Kamea dressed up as Nigel Thornberry.
Give her some cargo
I'm
shorts.
Manifesting it.
And so, this was genuinely nutty because like Nigel was there and he's like, like I rule it now. And so over the course of like Fildo running Barmwitch, he'd made it an already militaristic place, like way more militaristic. And they were like, hey, we're like kind of Spartan. Now we're like super fucking Spartan. We don't, if it's not glittery armor, we don't do it. No art. No, you do what we say. And I was like, fuck, man, shit's going south in Barmwitch. And Nigel Thornberry was like, absolutely. We need to bring those Glitter Guard, the shiny Spartans, over to Wolfreen and like really take control. And it was only after we started sneaking and peeking around Barmwitch that we found out that turns out there's a reason that Nigel Thornberry was so keen on getting all these animals in, particularly rats and squids. The rats had brain munches in them, and they would brain munch people and turn them into squid people. And so the whole world was being controlled by brain munchers, intellect devourers, and mind flayers. Got it. We got there eventually. I like brain munchers. And so it was a good thing we fucking stopped it, because all those Spartan soldiers, the Glitter Guard coming over, they all had brain munchers in their head. And they were going to spread it around. It was going to be real bad.
We've had a little bit of a run-in with Cora Thorngage, the wife of Fildo.
Nigel Thornberry.
You did pretty good. That was pretty good. Like story-wise, some names were, but you were pretty good. We've had a run-in with Cora.
A rather smashing recollection.
Neppy tried to scry on her. Neppy tried to scry on her and it failed, meaning she's likely on a different plane, likely in the astral sea, I'm pretty sure. And then Neppy cast sending to her and was just mildly taunting to her because she hates Cora. And then Cora made her nose bleed a little bit because Cora sucks. You were pretty close. I'll offer a couple corrections.
Before you do, I just have to say that I realized it is the Wild Thornberries. I couldn't describe the character of or anyone else on that show aside from Nigel Thornberry. Like, I understand it was about his daughter who talked to animals and stuff, and that she had like a teenager, Eliza. Like, but I only know that because it's in
she had glasses.
She had glasses
and red hair that was kind of like
ripped jeans, and there was a talking monkey, and the mom was
the cool teen.
Yeah. Anyways,
okay. Welcome to our Wild Thornberries podcast.
Just how wild is it that the whole
pretty
show
close.
got overshadowed by Tim Curry? I mean, that's not surprising.
But how wild is it that they got Tim Curry? Like you look at
He's
the
in
history of
everything.
stuff.
Wait,
You look
wait,
at the
wait.
history of the
If you
stuff
look
he's
really
done.
close, he's actually in Blackwater too. He's just everywhere.
He's just hiding.
Have you seen his shit when he did Red Alert, where he's like the Emperor of Russia?
Yeah,
He's like,
but I just
No.
all I mean is like
I love
his
This is our
roles.
Tim Curry appreciation live stream.
Muppets of the Caribbean, top 10 favorite movies.
Yes.
Tim Curry.
Let's throw it back to Fern
Frankenfurter?
Gully. Fern
Frankenfurter?
Gully. Fern
Ooh.
Gully. I'm throwing it out there.
Okay,
And
as an actor,
Frankenfurter.
Tim Curry has a type of career that I aspire to, which is like eclectic, absurd, and also everything he's in, he's the best part. He's not
Yes.
necessarily in the best things, but anything he's in the best part, including Fern Gully, which also featured Robin fucking Williams.
Yes.
Like,
Hexus terrified me as a child. Like the role that his like hit that like oozy toxic monster, which was like a
Mhm.
very sexualized song talking about his love of mutt.
like everything. Tim
toxic
Curry.
love. You're looking for toxic love.
Oh, I know the name of it. I could probably sing it to you, but I'm not going
I
to.
think you should.
I can't. I will not. Until my
beneath me.
toddler decides that I
Slam
decide that
up
my toddler is
above.
old enough to watch that movie, and then she will make me sing the song because my toddler loves a villain. But Hexus terrified me for years. Nightmare fodder for tiny little Emma. 4 years. It's great.
Go
Tim
on
Curry's in
about
our campaign though.
cartoons that scare me for a while.
Tim Curry's
But-
in the campaign.
I'm surprised we don't have a character that's just like, because we got Adonis, who's basically Bowie. I'm surprised there isn't like an anti.
Listen, I
You
will
said
say
it. Now it will happen.
Adonis is basically Bowie, but he's got some real Tim Curry vibes as well.
He's got a bit of
I'm
Frankenfurter
saying-
energy to
Yeah.
him.
I would love for there to be a big Tim Curry energy with slight David Bowie vibes, who is the Dark Adonis.
Dark Adonis.
Dark
And they're like
Adonis.
basically the same dude, but they hate each other. It's like two
Adonis.
cats.
They're
in the
like
same room.
exes.
It's a Danis for sure.
They're exes.
I love it.
Oh,
I
they're
love
Adonis's
it.
definitely
ex-boyfriend.
exes.
Yeah,
Oh.
100%. Maybe they were married for a bit. Who knows?
I love it.
Odanis and Odonis.
Oh,
Okay, oh my
gosh.
god. And Adonis, because Adonis has this little chin thingy braided. Adonis, this is clean shaven, but he's got
And he has
Oh,
a
this
rat
is
tail.
sideburns. Yeah,
He's
and
got
a
a
rat
rat tail.
Rat
That's
tail.
my childhood nightmare right
No,
there. And
Willie
adulthood.
Nelson braids
Oh, no.
Yeah, that too. He's got
Oh.
both.
and a rat
We were
tail.
where
Yeah.
were we? We were talking about Cora Thorngage, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so the
It's
first
like,
time-
we're getting there.
First time we see Cora is in Farway Tavar with Fildo.
Yes.
And that's when Spooky runs.
Yes,
Um,
because the Thorm Gauges have just been bad news bears for a very long time. And then we saw them again in Wolfreen when
Mhm.
Cora was elected to the council because Fildo charmed the whole room. I think Neppy, because Kamea was charmed, Spooky was charmed. Like so many people in that room were charmed, and Neppy resisted the charm and essentially called Thora out. Or Cora
It was
out.
just Fildo
Was it just Fildo
at the time. Cora
right.
wasn't, or she wasn't being elected. I think they were voting to have Cora on the council, and
Right.
Fildo suggested it, and you
Yeah.
called him out in front of the whole council.
I did.
And
I called him
Spooky didn't even know at the time 'cause she was
Yeah.
charmed.
out. Neppy called him out in front of the whole council and pissed off quite a few people in that room and was asked to
Yeah.
leave and was just like, well,
Yeah, they
fine.
kicked us all out.
They kicked us all out. And then we ran into Cora over and over again because they questioned Neppy. And Cora was basically like, because we had been hiding Kern and Mira when we were trying to smuggle them out so that we could get them back to Svel-En, because we had like brought them back from the Earth Elemental plane, and they questioned Neppy, and like the whole party had hid Kern and Mira and just not told Neppy about it, so that when they questioned her, she could, like in a zone of truth spell, she could just lie about it or like tell the truth that she didn't know where they were. And so Cora sucks. We hate Cora. We hated Cora before we went to
Yeah.
Barmwich and found out
We hate
everything
them
bad
was
was happening. We hate them both.
Now,
And
what
the-
I'm really curious about is the first time we saw like Fildo face to face again,
Yeah.
Yanna was like disguised as like an older gnome.
Mhm.
She did that like as soon as she knew the Thorn Gauges were back in town after we beat Zakis. And I had to roll a deception check and he had to see if he saw through it. And I want to know if he saw through it.
He might have.
He might have. Like, but he didn't say anything at the time.
Yeah.
And we got away with it. And that's, I think later that evening we saw Peplum in a bar.
Yes.
And that's kind of when Yanna, because Yanna had been like, I don't trust Phildo. Like, Phildo's a bad guy. You have to trust me, like, for the party. And then after Peplum came up to her, she was like, okay, she asked Kokogi, she's like, I should tell them. And he was like, yeah, you should.
And then like Yanna laid it kind of on the line for us how bad things were. And so when we ended up in Barmwich, like it was such, you were totally right, Sean. It was like definitely like a militaristic, like surveillance state. Like everything was being watched. We found Spooky's uncle Garmo in the gold slums, essentially like a very poor district where he'd basically they were taking folks into this underground prison. And if you weren't strong of mind or something like that, they would basically mess with your mind and like kick you out into the streets. And so we started we went to Fulrich's distillery, the Still Peak distillery, and were like held up there and then got attacked by a bunch of guards who had the captain of the guard had like to go through this special initiation, who had an intellect devourer in his brain. And then we convinced these two like lower kind of soldiers. And we scared, that was the one time one of the 2 times Neppy's ever been bad cop. And I think all of them scared the living daylights out of these kids.
You terrified them. And then Yanna went up to them afterwards and was like, I know she's scary, but if you mess with us, she'll kill you. I'll bring you back and I'll kill you again. And they were like, ah!
We scared them. And then they went and joined up with the like rebel guerrilla forces who were led by Horlin, who was looking for his son, Koroman. And then we went down into this like underground secret prison under the Bright Keep, the governor's manor, and found this like secret prison, which led into the Underdark, and there were freaking mind flayers everywhere. So many, gosh darn. And then we discovered the Mead prison, and that's where Finnan found Relauvin, his patron, in this underground lake. Gosh, the Barmwich arc was just a delight. That was so fun.
A terrible time for Yanna, but like us as a party, very enjoyable.
So fun.
There was one point in a dungeon where we were like, I don't know if we should go down this slide. I guess we should do some brain drugs. And I was sitting there as a person being like, what are we doing?
No, we did brain drugs. We sure did brain drugs.
There is basically a smoothie maker that it's like you put a brain in it and out comes the other side, something that you inject. And if you done it right, you get something that brain knew. And we actually have that like
in the
brain
basement.
drug meth lab in like a secret room in the gravel pit. That Letters and I think Neppy also knows the how to access it.
Neppy and Letters set it up and then brought Kokogi down there, and then we brought Callie down there to like for her to like give you like the saving throws, the bonus of the saving throws, and then she stole the brain drugs and then did them herself. Because so for context, we stumbled through this this like deep dark dungeon that was set up by these mind flayers. Such a crawl. It was like in real life, I think it was like 2 months we crawled through this dungeon. It was a long time. It was a deep dungeon and there was so much going on in there. And we went into this laboratory and we found all these brains in jars that the mind flayers had been tampering with. And we just basically took all of their equipment so that they couldn't do it anymore. And then we took it and then we set it up in our house. And then we're like, let's experiment doing brain drugs.
But I need to, what I'm talking about is the moment in a dungeon surrounded by mind flayers, we decided, why not try this? And I was so confused as Yanna and as myself.
I think we were like, no, because we didn't know how to get somewhere. And we'd like, okay, well, let's do these brain drugs because maybe it'll be like, we'll maybe know what's going on down here. Secret knowledge.
Concerning day where Yanna is the voice of reason, standing there going, "What are we doing?"
We still have some of those brains that we haven't.
We have 6 of them,
and they're just in the room. Or are they on your person?
No, they're in the room down there.
Okay, next time we got time off, I think Neppy was sort of anti that for a while, but I guess time's healed that wound.
It's healed that wound. This is a new Neppy event.
Great.
No, Neppy was against it because I think it caused like an argument between someone, and she was like, I don't know if we should be doing this. And then they were like, no. Like Callie, because I think Callie had been wearing the talisman and she was super chaotic at that point.
Yeah, it started the whole Gravel Boys versus Garden Girls.
That is what kicked it off. I think that was the instigating event that started the non-existent rift between the Gravel Boys and the Garden Girls.
For the record, the Gravel Boys do not acknowledge the Garden Girls as like a sovereign entity. Like, no. Now I'm just throwing fucking smoke on the fire.
But like we got deeper down into this like mind flayer dungeon, the Underdark, and we discovered this, what Tim affectionately referred to as a meat prison, where there was just a bunch of people from Barmwich in cages who were essentially being eaten or going to be turned into mind flayers if their brains were strong enough. And we actually stopped the like, what's it called? Whatever the process is, we're going to turn you into a mind flayer. Yeah. It's like where they take the little thing and into your eyeball, and then it goes and eats your brain and turns you into a mind flayer. We stopped that for like 3 of them. And then we met Zelix, the mind flayer, who like hated the fact that he was a mind flayer. And that's what Adam was talking about when this was just before Finnan died, that time in the Underdark. But we liberated all of these people out of their cages, and we fought a bunch of mind flayers. And then we go deep down into this fight with this, we go down and find the Elder Brain, which is just like hanging out below Barmwich, just in its little gross brain juices. And then we find out that Fildo thought it was a god. He thought it was
Fildo thought it was Garl.
Yeah, go ahead. Glitter Gold.
Yeah. So the whole time he was like driven by like a psycho power, like thinking he was bringing back a god. So we know that like Fildo was just a halfling who is like crazy, but we have no idea what Cora is, like if she's a mind flayer or if she's a halfling,
because
a halfling.
So once we got all of these mind flayers like out of the Underdark, or at least we got as many of them as we could find before they all like left. At the same time, Cora and a bunch of the Glitter Guard who were in Wolfreen just pieced it and just were gone, and they went north into the Crinewood, and we kind of like cut them off. We like figured out where they had gone. They'd gone east, and we'd gone north, and we'd found where they were, and we just come across this like giant meadow in the middle of a forest, and there's just a circle of bodies, just like a circle of like 70 bodies just in a circle in the middle with spaces in between them in the middle of a circle. And we were just like, what? Why is this
and
like
Cora's
ritual?
body wasn't one of them.
And Cora's body wasn't one of them. And we know she's alive. I'm pretty sure she's in the Astral Sea with all of those mind flayers.
We'll get her next.
That's bad.
She's on the list.
She's on the list for sure.
Yeah.
Who else is on the shit list? We got her. We got to take care of her. We got to.
I wouldn't say it's a shit list. I say it's like a thing.
No,
list.
She's on the shit list.
She's on the shit list for sure.
We got to get that dragon.
We've got to deal with whatever's going on down here in the.
Well, actually, we don't know that Task is a bad thing. Task so far killed Tiamat. Tiamat a bad thing.
A bad thing.
Kill a bad thing. Maybe not a bad thing. That
might be a worse thing.
Could be worse thing.
I feel like regardless of whether Task is bad or good, we have to kill Urkin.
Yeah,
fuck Urkin.
Yeah, fuck.
Why do we gotta kill Urkin?
Because Urkin's a shit.
I also need
Urkin is a driven, enterprising fella who has apparently
stole all your gold.
Who has set his we've stolen from a lot of people. Who set his mind on one goal over centuries. We all look. Did you not just get like $1,000 worth of gold pieces the last time we looted all those fucking? I mean, granted, it was slave money, but like, we didn't give that money back to the community. Now, did we? We said, "Oh, thank you, slave money. I'll put that in my pocket." We looted
that room and almost died doing it. So.
Well, you got to get those big weapons.
Got to get those big weapons. But I mean, so we've got to deal with Cora. At some point, that is looming and bad. We have Raven, or Matron of Vengeance. That is looming and bad.
Potentially bad. Potentially bad.
Potentially
Could be
bad.
good.
Probably not.
Could be good.
Probably be bad.
Hates the chained oblivion. Again, taking on a bad thing. Could be good.
Yeah. Hates
Has an eye
Akadi,
for
though.
talent. Has an eye for talent. Hired us. Got us working for her. So
I mean, I don't think hired is the correct term for what the major
An eye
interventions
for
did.
talent.
I
But
think it was an
us.
exchange of goods and services.
Right.
She
That's
said,
true.
I
She
will
delivered. I mean, she
genocide a
delivered.
city. The deal was you genocide a city and we work for you. That's
Yeah.
service rendered.
One time work for you.
Well-
We also have the stuff with the Orphea.
Yep.
That's something we have to do. There will be more stuff with Relauven, I can imagine.
Nah, that's all
Yeah,
tied
it's
up. That's
boiling.
fine.
Yeah, that's bubbling.
Dave.
Some
fine.
stuff with
Dave.
Sarah. Volketh. We have to
Yeah,
deal
Dave.
with fucking
Dave.
Volketh
You don't
and
have
Dave.
to look. We invite him over for dinner. I think if we sit down with Volketh, look, this is not about Volketh. This is about Yanna. I think we got well off track.
chatWater, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Eventually.
Who's on Yanna's shit list aside from
Yeah.
Laura.
Nigel Thornberry? Aside from Nigel
Nigel
Thornberry.
Thornberry exclusively. Yeah, well, not the shit list. There's a tree she needs to check on in the Alderwood. She doesn't know that she needs to rescue a dinosaur from that Tabaxi zoo, but she does.
Yes.
Fern.
Yeah.
Fern the dinosaur.
Yeah.
First long dead.
No, she's got to go help
You
them.
can resurrect her, but
What else does she have to check on? Oh, she has to make a steam golem.
Yeah. I want to help you make that steam golem so
Yeah.
bad. Not with
Yeah,
any sort
she
of
has a name
intelligence.
picked out for it and everything. Because Tim killed my favorite character. Wait, 1 second. You guys brought up Hedgehog when you're talking about NPCs.
Yes. Please
and
tell us all about your love of
Hedgehog is my
Hedgehog.
favorite. Hedgehog, it was a Goliath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
great.
we met in the first tavern that we all met in. Like he was sitting at the bar and Yanna walked up to him and I think basically challenged him to an arm wrestle. And he thought that was so funny and he liked her so much that he I can't remember if he let her win or not.
I think he
Or
did.
yeah. But they were really good friends and he ended up helping them when they had to fight all the werewolves.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Tim fucking killed him in
Alamir killed him.
yeah.
Nice.
But
Alamir Buckwild.
Yeah,
Nice,
so
nice,
Alamir killed him and we knew that through scrying.
Neppy scryed and saw
Yeah.
because Neppy scryed on Alamir and
heart
saw
broke.
him taking the artisan's hammer out of the temple of the desecrated temple in Tor En, and Hedgehog's body was there. I was devastated. I was so
My
sad
heart
when that
broke.
happened. I know.
Hedgehog, I think I wrote down as one of Yanna's first friends. She was she loves Hedgehog.
Hedgehog was so
That's the
sweet.
Steam Golem's name when we make it.
Oh, I love it.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah. Yanna took a shining to Cogman too, if I remember
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Mechanical
don't like
constructs.
anyone. Don't like anyone, Jen, because Tim will
die.
kill them.
I mean, he didn't kill my parents yet, so
We did rescue both
I
of
was
your
really
parents.
worried. Yeah. So my mom was imprisoned in Fildo's estate as a brainwashed maid, which is infuriating because she's a warrior. And then my dad, Yanna's dad, was in the meat prison.
Yeah.
And we scryed on them a couple of times and we could kind of see where they were. And we had asked Peplum, are they okay? And Peplum's I don't know, I've seen your mom once.
And it was all this big surveillance state. It was this huge
Yeah.
sense of you were being watched every time we were in Barnwich. It was awful.
Yeah. I
hated
think
that.
before we got there, we tried to call, we cast sending to Peplum.
Yeah.
And he was I can't really tell you anything. His whole response was really vague and
The whole sense of
Guarded.
anytime we cast sending to someone with related to the stuff around Barnwich, it might have been listened to. It was just they were, and then we've discovered in Barnwich, in the Underdark, there was this big dish that was collecting all of this information. We destroyed it. We pushed it out of a tower and crashed it.
We smashed that up
Yeah.
good.
We for sure smashed us a fantasy rudimentary satellite dish. We definitely did that. Yeah.
So I mean, we saved both my parents just barely.
Rosie and Olin, I love
Yeah.
them both. They're
Mhm.
great. Yeah, because I remember there was a night where we were in Wolfreen. We had just come back from the Earth Elemental Plane, and like it was the night just before Neppy and Kokanee dug up Torin's spear, where Yanna asked Neppy to scry on her parents for the first time, and like told Neppy everything about her parents, or like please help me. I need to find them. I don't know where they are. And I think I failed the first time, but then succeeded the second time on your dad, which was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What has been a Yanna highlight? You know, you've been playing in this fucking thing for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like when you're thinking back on the things, like what are your favorite Yanna moments in all that time?
I think one of like Yanna's very defining moments is like shortly after she ran away in Fallaway Tavar. It was before we went into the battle with Zakis. She hadn't told like anybody yet like about her past, but she kind of just like looked around at all of them before they went into battle, and she was like, I just want you to know I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running this time. I'm done with running. And she was just like, and that was like a really big turning point for her. Like you saw her like take her off her hood more often, and like, yeah, that is a big moment for my girl.
I remember that. It was like, it was the session. It was like literally the session we were about to go charging into battle with Zakis, and you like grabbed all of our hands in the middle as we were doing our kind of like morning, like our planning, and like physically you grabbed all of our hands and you were like, I'm never running. I'm not running from you anymore. And it was just like, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really good.
That was one of those things I had thought about. Like that was around the time, because we have playlists for our characters, but like most of us made those like long before we started streaming. So I was listening to that playlist like in the car on the way to work, and at the time I was like commuting back and forth a couple of times a week to Squamish, so I had like a lot of time to like think, and I was listening to the playlist and I was like, oh, and I like thought about that moment, and I'm like, she has to have that moment at some point. Like she's not running anymore. Yeah, that's a big moment for my girl. And then like not having to be disguised anymore and like being Yanna again has been really cool. Like she still likes being called Spooky, but yeah, that's been really neat. And I like, for me, I think anytime, because she's like a gnome and she has this like little voice, I think even I forget that like she's the oldest character in the party a lot of the time.
Yes.
So when I'm able to like pull out those like mom moments where I'm like, hey, no, like we don't have to do that, or no, like you're allowed to feel that way, like are like my favorite Yanna moments. I love those. Like the one you and I had recently, Sean, after the fight. I was like, yeah, that's some good Yanna shit. And then on the other side of the spectrum, it's like resurrecting things and dressing up my friends. So
one of my favorite Yanna moments was right after we killed Vilsoon.
Yeah, when Callie was having that sort of existential crisis.
And Finnan was like losing it as well. Like everyone was just like a wreck at that point, and Yanna came in with the big like that's what he would want you to think, and he wants to pull us apart. And I was just like, yeah, 100% Mama Yanna coming in, giving us all what we need in that moment.
You had that great sort of like supportive but also like enough of this bullshit sort of like tone. Yeah, it was great. I was just gonna say that, and that was my favorite Mama Yanna. Mama Yanna needs to be a thing.
I live for the moments, because Em and I run the social media, so I'll watch the stream back and like clips for Instagram. And I live for the moments where Tim Carlson looks at me like a proud dad, and that was one of those moments where he was just like.
Tim Carlson is all of our dads who we're all just trying to impress.
Yeah.
We all just want to make Papa Carlson proud.
Jen, I mean, you and I have been playing D&D together for 2.5 years, and we have been friends for much longer than that.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I asked this to Lan when she was on the show, like in some way, shape, or form, like, tell me what D&D does for you. Like, tell me about your relationship to D&D as like, there's your relationship to Yanna, and then there's your relationship to like D&D.
I think for me, it's just like such a lovely like creative outlet for me. I get to do that a bit in the work that I do. Actually, I think the two things are very similar, but like, yeah, it's very much like something I look forward to every week. Like, I think all of us kind of share that experience where like we're having a crappy week. We're like, oh, but I'm like so glad we get to like see each other and play D&D on Saturday. And like, especially through like quarantine, it's given me like such a purpose because work has been so all over the place and uncertain at times. So like, I think it's become like a very grounding thing for me in my life. Like 2.5 years ago, I wouldn't have said like D&D, like I work and like I do other things sometimes, but like D&D is like a main thing I tell people about now. So like, yeah, it's just like consistent and it's grounding, and I get to just be like this silly person who is also a reflection of me. But I also really love like those moments where we like get to play through like some of those like things that could be tied to real life. Like, I think that's really special for me too. Yeah, like that. I think about when you brought up after the Valsoom fight, I think of that moment where Yanna died and Callie brought her back to life in the middle of that fight. Like, Len and I have been friends for years and like past roommates. So like that was just like a big like, I've got you. That was such a nice moment. I like moments like that a lot. Yeah.
It's cool to see the ways that like, because we're friends first and D&D players second. I think I totally agree with that. I think it's so cool when we get to watch our friendships like bleed in. We have like to our character dynamic, and I love that a lot. And I think I know Jen, like for me, you've always been someone who's been so stable and like such a calming, wonderful force in my life. So to see Yanna have those moments, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that feels like. I know that. So that's always really cool. Yeah. Fun fact, Jen was a bridesmaid at my wedding. So like Jen and I go very, very, very far back.
We've been friends for over 10 years now.
Yep.
That's like 2010.
Have you guys ever had any form of matching jewelry, friendship bracelet, even temporary tattoo, like permanent tattoo? Wait,
I'm gonna say this, and I actually have been thinking about it for quite some time, and I'm definitely gonna do it. And I'm announcing it here on the stream for the first time. When this COVID thing is done, and I feel comfortable again going to a tattoo place, I'm fully getting a 3x3 set of boxes tattooed somewhere on my body. Because the 9 little boxes that we have has been such a wonderful part of quarantine for me. And speaking of that, that's exactly.
Cry.
No, don't cry.
It's not the first time I've cried on stream. It's fine. It's fine. No, just keep talking. It's fine. Ignore
but yeah,
me.
it's 100%. Like it's been such a like, with everything that's been going on, this is really like, speaking of what Jen was saying, like it's become such a core. It's how I measure the days in the week. It's literally like, we stream on Saturdays, we stream on Mondays. Like that's the only thing that keeps track of the weekdays for me at this point, because it's been like 6 months of unemployment. So it's been such a core thing of my this half of the year, basically.
I love that. We'll join you in that.
Well, Sean, you're not allowed to, because you're an actor. I mean, tattoos are a bad idea.
Well,
unless you get them in very special spots.
On your butt.
On your butt.
No. Just lining my inner thighs. Lining my upper inner thighs.
We were all going to get Blackwater bees on our butts at some point. And by all of us, I mean, Len and I were like totally in.
We're for sure going to get Blackwater
like,
Technically, I already have a Blackwater bee on myself. So
That's true.
It's
You
fine.
do have
I
a
do.
neppy tattoo.
Yes,
Oh,
I
you
have
have a
Neppy
Neppy
tattooed
tattoo.
on my body.
But it's
yes,
not
I
a
do.
Blackwater bee.
There is. Yep, there is a Blackwater
yeah,
bee in
there is.
her.
In her. Oh, okay.
Yeah, on her
I
jewelry.
have a bee. I don't have a
Yes.
matching tattoo with M yet, but I have one with Len.
It's a little bee. Little bee.
Because we lived
Aw.
together for 3 years. And now we always have each other's backs. Actually, hers is on her heart, but I don't think we have any matching jewelry going back to Sean's best friends.
I was thinking
oh no,
if we
I have
like
jewelry from your wedding that you made me.
That's true. We do technically have matching jewelry from our wedding.
Yeah,
we also
that's what I
have
was looking
matching
for.
costumes for that time we dressed up for as
Yeah.
matching creepy dolls together.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a Halloween costume we had, which was
I
really
don't know
great.
why you're looking confused, Sean. That's so on brand for us.
So on brand for myself
No,
and Jen.
I'm just wondering, like, what variety of creepy doll, like.
Twins with pigtails and like
that were like slightly alternating. We were wearing like the same dress,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like mismatched stockings and
Yes.
like mismatched
Yeah,
hair
yeah.
bows, and we talked in unison the whole night.
Okay,
and
so
like
more
It's
the
a good
Shining
bit.
than
We finished each other's
ventriloquism.
sentences.
We-
Yeah.
we did. Yeah,
Because
it
there's
was
a
great.
lot of different ways that creepy haunted doll can go.
Yes,
Mhm.
Like,
I gotcha.
it's very fun.
There was a movie about the ventriloquist dolls that was actually quite good. A horror
No,
movie.
thank you. I'm okay with ever seeing it or talking about it ever again.
It's quite good.
that was just Toy Story 4, Yannis.
That's yeah, sorry.
But Yannis, going back to your sweet
The
little
tattoo.
9
I
boxes.
love that.
So we affectionately refer to all of us on stream as 9 boxes, because in our Zoom calls, which is the streaming platform, like how we stream everything, there are 9 of us, because Yannis and Cody are the two, like the logo and the scroll, and so we're 9 boxes. So we'll 100% join you in a 9 boxes tattoo. 100%. Yeah. I have
I'll get
so
my
many
stick and poke
tattoos. I'm not
kit.
precious about them
I'll
anymore.
get my
Yeah.
stick and poke kit, and we'll just all do them for each other.
No. We're
I
gonna
do
go to
know a
like an
person.
actual. We're gonna go to a shop and get this done cleanly. If we're gonna do it, I'm advocating for
Hey,
clean
I can do
service.
stick and poke cleanly. Got a lighter. And
That's not
Yeah,
instilling
yeah.
any confidence in me. I don't. We just
I-
gotta convince everyone else to do 9 boxes. I'm super down.
I do eventually want to find out, and we'll. I don't know if tonight's the night we'll discuss it, but I do eventually want to find out how everyone met. Once I have actually everyone's permission to delve that far into their personal lives, because I find it very interesting, like how the group came together. Because there are like core people who've like pulled people in. Like I know I got pulled into this through Adam and Sean, and I think Cody came into this through Adam, and you came into this through Adam as well.
Sean?
Yeah, you, Sean, came in through this through Adam.
Yeah.
And Adam came in through a different campaign that he ran for you and Tim, right?
Yeah. So
like,
I mean, we don't necessarily have permission to talk about everybody's life backstories yet.
Yeah, but I find it really interesting, like how the group formed.
I mean, if you think about it in a way, it's Em and I's fault because we've known each other the longest.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, it's for sure. Yeah, Jen and I's fault.
And I brought in Matt to that first session.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the first times you met Matt, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I had met Matt. Yep. And then the other time I met Matt was like when because we used to play monthly, which is wild to think about too. Is that when we first started, we started playing monthly, and we would play like we would do Bruncheons and Dragons. Everyone would come over and we would play for like 4 or 5 hours, because especially when my little one was very little, it was just like sleep, hang out with baby, play D&D, and baby just exists, whether she was like playing in her little disc, or we were all holding her, or she was like eating in her high chair or something like that. We would play, and we would all we'd have like potlucks. The first session we had was a potluck. I roasted 2 chickens,
it was on,
and everyone
like New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve, because I think we all were tired of going out for New Year's Eve, and we just decided
the best decision ever, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think every consecutive New Year's we've either played Blackwater, or like this last New Year's, we didn't play Blackwater because Tim had a show, but we played an RPG that Matt created, which was also very fun.
Oh yeah, that was so great.
We have to bring on and do a one shot of at some point because it's so fun. But I don't know. It's the best way that I've ever spent my New Year's, playing D&D or RPGs with my friends.
One of our first games, Sean, was also a brunch at your old place.
Oh yeah, with the long table.
Yeah. Tables were a big thing in our campaign about how large the tables were and if they were large enough for everybody in deciding where we were going to play.
And who had the longest table?
Yeah, Sean had access to all sorts of collapsible tables, so he always won.
Incredible.
I have the longest. I actually still have that table in my apartment, and we brought it out when we had that crossover campaign, which is where Yanna's first met M.
Yes.
Busted out that
And
long
Jen,
table.
and Len.
Hey, and Len.
Yes,
Jen.
and Len.
And I thought that Jen and Len were dating.
Yeah, we get that a lot. I
was 100%
super
convinced.
not straight.
That's not what it was.
and
it was just you guys had this sort of like weird, sort of like we spend all our time together.
We do, and we still
And I was
did.
like, I was like, oh, okay, so Jen and Len are together.
Yeah, one year, which I don't recommend. I think it's not a great joke to pull anymore. But one year we did pull the Facebook "we're dating" as a joke because people made that joke all the time.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Fun fact: Matt thought I was also not straight when he started dating me. I just give off a lot of that energy, and I get it. It's fine,
and it's awesome. It's great. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
I feel like when you change your Facebook status to that, you find out very quickly how much of your family's cool with a lot of stuff and how much your family's not cool with a lot of
people
stuff.
gotta get real cool about stuff real quick.
Like it's one of those situations where you're like, I'm gonna find out if my uncle's actually cool with shit or if he's not.
It's a litmus test for your Facebook friend group.
I mean, Jen, if you're like, I mean, I obviously won't name names, but like Jen and I met when we were both young and worked at an environmental education center. So we did outdoor ed with kids. And I remember it was like we had kind of existed tangentially to each other for years and never crossed paths, which we absolutely should have. And the first time I met Jen, I was like, oh, wow, you're really cool. Can we be friends? And I think there was a verbal conversation one time. I was like, we're friends, right? And she was like, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're
and I was
friends.
like, great. Yeah.
I think it's very funny. Yeah, we had have one of those friendships where like we just like didn't talk for so long, and I definitely thought you were way too cool for me because I was younger than you. You hung out with like the cooler crowd of the volunteer we worked with, so like and then I was like, oh, I'm friends with this person now, this is cool.
Yeah. And that's
also how we met Len, training her to be a counselor at that same place.
It's the group of girls who really introduced everybody to everybody.
In a way, yeah.
And I mean, Tim and I knew Adam from before when and I think we've talked about this a lot, so I don't think I'm sharing anything new, but when because Adam was the first DM I've ever like played for. And Tim and I played in that campaign, and we still do. And it's still wonderful. That's where Chubb Stoneass is from. That's where Saren is from. So that's how I met Adam. And then through Adam, I met Sean and met Yanis. And because I think Yanis, the first time I met you was at that birthday crossover.
The big one shot,
And it was Sean the first time I met you there also too.
I think so.
I feel like
we played. Did we play the other game at Adam's house before them?
Mumgens and Dadgens.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the very first time I met you.
Because our characters didn't like each other.
Oh, what? You didn't like Chert Stegosaur?
I'm pretty sure you left me for dead or did something in that game that really pissed my character off.
That's surprising to me because Chert's whole thing is he's a team player. You must not have been a team player. I can't remember what happened.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, Chert's a character for my campaign, isn't it? For the water.
Yeah, I came up with him for this
him.
one shot, and I was like, Chert Stegosaur.
He's got more legs.
Investigator. I need to see what happens with this, and that's how I learned. I just can't. Emma, like I tried so hard. I was like, he's an investigator. He's got a little book. I'm gonna take so many notes, and I realized I just fucking can't.
Just don't.
And
that's why we do this show, Sean. And that's why we do this show.
But I wrote a whole character all about it, and I can't be that. I cannot be note taky because then I'm not present.
That's why I'm the lore keeper in literally every campaign I'm in. Yannis, I remember one of the very first things that you ever said to me, because I was taking notes in this one shot that we were playing, and you were like, do you do this in every campaign you're in? I was like, oh yeah. And you were like, why isn't she playing in our game?
Yeah.
Because I'm a terrible note taker, and I was the only one who took notes in my campaign, and I was bad at it, and I knew I was bad at it, but no one else was doing it. So we'd be like, oh, there was that thing, and I'd be like, oh man, my notes are bad, and I don't have any information on this. And I'd be like, Adam, can you help me, please?
Yeah, I take notes in drawing form and sometimes words, and they're not helpful. Like even when I'm trying to seriously take notes, and when do you have a page that I took notes for you?
Yes. So there was one time where I think I was dealing with baby stuff, and or I was playing as a different character, and Jen was like just watching that episode because her Spooky wasn't in it, where there's like so many just drawings like in amongst the notes, and like I am not a drawer. There is written word and lots of arrows, and like
I'm a visual learner.
By comparison, it's just like written word and letters. So having the now this fell out, it's fine, I'll figure out where that goes.
Yeah, and that's your notebook. I did a good job in yours. Like I took detailed notes with the drawings. In Yanna's notebook, it's like in her voice, so it's like things that Yanna thinks are important to write down, and like drawings and doodles.
We got to put some of your pictures of Yanna's notebook on the gram, because your notebook inspired me to do my notebook. Like
I think I'm gonna redo it.
Beautiful baby, like you inspired me to do that, and I was just on a character sheet and like a sleeve that I could use with a dry eraser, but like I'm never going back. I'm gonna do this for every long-term character that I ever have, because it's the best. I love it. It's so fun because you get to like really personalize it and have it be something of your own. You did that, Jen, because you're the best.
I will say I do take notes because I have them here on sticky notes, and they are names of people and funny shit that I can't derail. But I'm like, I have more names of drinks from the Scar.
I cannot wait.
That just haven't come up organically.
And I mean, then you do that, and then that's when we start releasing the cookbook from the Blackwater Bar and Grill. Also, I have heard rumblings that people want Blackwater Bar and Grill T-shirts.
Yes.
I want Blackwater Bar.
I want a Blackwater Bar and Grill T-shirt.
Yes. So do it.
Funny story of how I met Sean, and I don't know.
Sorry. We just have to. That story will keep. I know it will, but like I love. Like this is something we need to figure out at the table, but like now that the Blackwater Bar and Grill is doing like a promotional tie-in with the Temple of Nepthiseket, like like Letters is now the heel of Wolfreen. It's like the Blackwater Bar and Grill, food to die for.
Oh, I'm so here for it.
Cross promotional event.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I don't know how businessy the priestesses of Nepthiseket are, but I mean.
Oh no, you let me take care of that.
No, we got it.
Thank you so much.
As long as they're not going to stop Letters from doing it, he will.
No.
Look, we need someone in game who's an actual like t-shirt maker, because it can't be that shirt guy with the hair. Like, I don't want to talk to that guy.
He's bad news.
Yannis, you go ahead. You're telling a story about me, and that was uncharacteristically of me to interrupt that.
The first time I met Sean, and I don't think Sean actually remembers the first time that I met him, because I think Sean remembers when we first met at the first game that Adam hosted for us.
I remember commenting on your tattoo.
Oh, okay. So Sean was on a show called Deadly Class, and I helped film the pilot. And I remember we were shooting at a church in East Van, and we were shooting the scene where they first come into the classroom, and Benedict is the principal, and he's giving this like lecture where he hits this actress in the face with a cane. And I remember Sean was there. I don't think he had any lines specifically in that scene, but they had to establish him. And he was sitting there in typical Sean fashion, and he was writing a list of like funny names, or like he was so in character that he was like coming up with taunts of other classmates like in character, and he was writing them on his page. And I remember walking by, and some of them were very vulgar. And I remember seeing them and being like, "What are you doing?" And I didn't know Sean was an actor on the show because he didn't have any lines in the.
Oh, you thought it was background?
I thought he was just a background guy who was just like way too into it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just getting into character." And I was like, "Oh, okay, random dude who's playing a kid in a class." And then I saw him later, and then it all made total sense.
Oh my
But that was the very
amazing.
first interaction I had with him, was him coming up with these like really vulgar like names and taunts for people. Yeah. That was such a fun show. The pilot on that show was so much fun to film, but also so shitty, because the last 2 days of the filming, we were shooting in December. It was right before Christmas. And the last 2 days we were shooting, I don't know if you guys know, there's an open parkade, like layered parkade in New West, right on the water. Mm-hmm. And we were shooting like a fight scene in a parkade, and we shot it there. And every night we shot nights, and it was the middle of December, and there was like a cold snap, and it was raining. So it was like -5 and raining, and we were shooting like a week's worth of nights. So every night we would start work at 5 and then finish at around like 9 or 10 in the morning. And it was just the worst last week of any show.
I wasn't there for that.
You were not there for any of that.
Oh, my shit was inside. It was great.
But I mean, if it worked to bring the two of you closer together so that we could do this thing eventually, it was worth it.
It was
right?
It was awesome. That whole show was awesome. I know Sean's got a special place in Sean's heart.
Dude, that one I almost got tattooed. That one was close. Fucking rad will always be rad. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Deadly Class and how it shouldn't have been canceled. But no. Man, owl bears are funky.
Maybe
maybe
Spooky can resurrect it.
Maybe Spooky will bring Deadly Class back from the dead.
Yes.
If somebody buffs up the necromancer class, then yeah, maybe I can.
It's our pitch to Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. True Resurrection's not going to do it. We're going to need a wish spell, but we're working.
We should convince Tim to let you take the feat that gives you a gun, because then you'd be a necromancer with a gun. And I think even if it doesn't really like add to the necromancer class, it would just be cool.
There was a
whole
episode.
You could have like a gun with like bones on it and shit.
There was a whole episode where, I mean, technically Neppy's gun is the spookiest gun out there. The Doom Tube is what it's called. That's its actual name. But there was an episode where everyone we found a bunch of other guns, and Kokanee was like, "Yeah, I'll teach you how to shoot a gun," and nobody could do it. Nobody could shoot a gun. Like Callie was close, but like Melora was like, no, you can't do that. And Neppy and Kokanee were like, why? Why can't you do that? But yeah,
unless
it's a
god from
thing.
Shin Kick.
Unless you're from Shin Kick. But those were different guns. These are like the religious guns. Nobody
is Shin Kick a bunch of gnomes as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gnomes that left Barmwich.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. You just got to go see the Shin Kick gnomes. Tell them you were kicked out of Barmwich too. Be like,
they've been kicked out of Shin Kick though.
Yeah, Shin Kick exploded. And now all of those gnomes are in Wolframe.
Okay, well, you got to find the table, and in the table there's a lion, and that lion has a gun.
And
he has a gun from Shin Kick.
Yeah, so you just got to find the table. Simple.
Darlene. I love.
That was such a great character, Jen.
Thank you. I love him. He's my little lion boy.
Sweet, fluffy lion boy. I love that so much. So good.
You and Nana made a very, very good little duo.
Oh, God, I can't
ship it so
wait
hard
to play that again. It's so fun. I'm so glad that we ended up on a Jumanji storyline rather than just handing in the table.
Coming back in September. I think we'll be coming back for the September one shot. Will be another Meet the Makers. We're having everybody come back, everyone who can make it come back, and maybe have some other makers come join us too. Ooh, more people in the story. It's very exciting. I'm so excited. More lore.
Yeah, I'm just very excited about the lore. There was some lore drops.
There were some juicy lore drops.
Em was freaking out in the chat.
I was freaking out in the chat. Every time there is like, it's very rare that I actually get to hang out in the chat because I'm obviously playing on our Saturday night game and I'm here. So like the very rare occasions I get to hang out are like when we're doing behind the screen, where we're not really talking lore, we're just talking DMing. And then now that was like the first time I've got to like hang out when something story-based was happening. And I'm just like, look at all of these juicy lore bits. When every time like Sean eats like, or letters goes like, give me that magic. That's how I feel about lore. I'm just like, give me the lore.
It powers her.
It
So
does.
when he mentioned
Truly.
Erkin that first time, you just were going beside yourself.
Fuck Erkin.
I was
Fuck
trying
that
not
guy.
to freak out in game.
Fuck that guy. He's been in
wonder-
so many
I wonder
different
who his
things
employer
though.
is.
Yeah, who is his employer? That's my
Task.
question.
And what does the table have to do with Task?
I don't know.
Are you guys going to find the table?
They found. Are we
We're in the
Blackwater?
Yeah, is Blackwater going to find the table?
I don't think the table's on Wolfar.
Anymore, or to begin
No,
with?
ever. I don't think it was ever on Wolfar.
Oh.
Tim said it was in the Divide, which is very far away and very, very bad.
I
But
think
it's
we
the
should
same
go
world,
there.
right?
I
Pardon?
think we should
Same
go to
world,
the
yeah.
Divide and just pick a side, because it's like it's an eternal war, and we just flip a coin
End it.
and we just finish the war. We
Just
understand
resolve
it's
it.
totally moral gray, and it's like, you know what's better than the war? Not war. And we
Not
just
war.
pick one, or we
We
take
win
on
it for them.
both.
I like how cocky you are, Sean, that you're just going to
Yeah.
rock up and you're going to be like, we're going to be on your side.
Your
Okay,
side.
it's done now.
Pretty well. Look, if it's been going on so long, it must be at a standstill, and we're bringing a lot of heat. So like, it's a standstill. Oh, so it's like, oh, I'm on the
Tip
right,
the
I'm on the
scales.
left. Oh,
There's
now we got.
there's
done.
gods there that we don't know about. There's like
Well,
there's
if we don't know about them, then they can't be that powerful.
like Kruha and Ungol are the two
Never
We
gods
heard
didn't
that
know
Tim.
about them, Em.
Okay, well they dropped the lore in the one shot if you were paying attention. So
See, I know that Uncle, he's the one who like isn't okay with like you saying that your roommate is a relationship on Facebook. I know that's the one thing I know about that god. We don't always love Uncle. He doesn't get invited to Thanksgiving. But yeah, like fuck that guy.
Let's
Fuck
pick
that
a
guy.
side on the divide.
pick a
And go
side.
ahead.
Well, I'll
with
Just
take
it.
the
pick a
other
side.
side. I'll take the other side. I'll kill Uncle. I'll make him say Uncle. Fuck that guy.
I feel like we've talked about the divide when we talked about the world, and then I don't know if Sean remembers anything about it. But
There's
you know,
no, we didn't talk about the.
We
We've
didn't
mentioned
really
it,
talk-
and
we
then
didn't
there's
really touch
300
on
years
it.
of war, and
We don't know why they're fighting.
it's Uncle and Stanton, and those are the two gods, respectively, for the greens and blues.
oh no,
And,
And they
And
play
it's-
football, and they just whoever like it was going to be best of 3, and they won 1-1, and then they decided
Yeah.
they were going to
Just-
do best of 5, and then it just kept
a
going.
flicker of hope.
well,
Just
here's the thing: they've been
gone.
fighting for so long that they're like,
See,
we
Jen,
should
now you
actually.
understand.
No, no,
now
no,
you
no,
get
no,
it.
I mean,
So,
I
the thing.
watched you struggle last week. That was
Here's
a
the thing.
different thing.
They've been fighting for so long that they're like, we shouldn't do, like, we don't have enough people to man the farms. Our economies are collapsing. So now we're going to do proxy battles. And so every year, each side, like, puts together all their, like, tenacity and, like, might to build steam golems. And then they have those two fight for territorial disputes. And whoever
Yanna's
wins
interested.
gets, you know.
You've piqued Yanna's interest. That's
Yeah.
it. All you have to say was steam golems, and we're gone. That's it. We're
It's
there.
just fantasy. It's fantasy robot jocks. If
Yeah.
anyone was
Robot
looking for that.
Wars.
Yeah.
No, the
Fair.
bigger.
Jen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for
having me.
Well, it won't be
Before
the
we wrap
last
up-
time for sure.
I just want to say, did you guys watch the reincarnation of Robot Wars?
Mm.
They
Yes.
did the reincarnation, and they
Fucking
just
wild.
and there was a
Great.
robot who just had a gun on it.
Yeah, it was a Roomba with a gun. It was wild.
Like there
Yeah, I
used
saw
to be
that one.
rules. There used to be like, oh, we
No
can
rules.
flip them, or we can like have a saw, and then they
Pin
came back,
them.
and it was like, we're gonna put a gun on it.
It had two guns, fucking sideways.
Sideways,
Black,
because
black.
everyone knows that's how you do the kill shot.
And guess what?
Jeez.
It won because it shot the
Fucking
robot
surprise!
a bunch.
Can you imagine if you had a
Gosh.
robot that had like a flippy on it, and they're like, okay, who we're going up against? Or like, oh, the robot
Gun.
with the 2 guns.
That's it. Just gun.
Like-
That's it. Rock, paper, scissors, gun. That's like
Yeah,
you know who wins in
exactly.
that contest.
Everyone makes that joke, and then they showed up, and I bet you that there was like nothing in the rules that technically banned it, and they rocked up on the first day and they're like, let's look at your robot, and they're like, oh, it's got guns on it, and they're like, we can't do that, and they're like, show me in the rules.
Show me the
where it says
rules.
I can't
Here
have
is
no
the
guns.
next
Just nobody's
Airbud.
thought about doing it before.
It's
Airbud
ingenuity.
enters Robot Wars because nowhere in the rules does it say that the robot cannot be a dog. It's just Airbud tearing into robots.
Airbud with a gun.
So what they did is it takes place, the Robot Wars is in the US, and they had the robot deemed a citizen, and then they said the robot can't have a gun. It said Fourth Amendment right, bear arms. It's a citizen, it gets a gun. And they're like, well, I can't argue with that. We wouldn't want to take his guns from him. Pow, 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 pow.
So thank you so much for coming, Yanna.
Get yourself a gun.
So welcome.
Even if it's from a lion. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for educating us on all things spooky.
Yanna.
Like with everyone that we have on the show, we don't have enough time to cover all of what makes spooky spooky.
And there's so much you haven't shared that I cannot wait for you to drop at the table. So exciting.
That combined with Sean and I actively working to derail the conversation at all possible times, means that we will definitely have to have you back.
Yay.
Check us out on Saturday. We're going to be streaming with the next section of the Money Hole Adventure. Tim has started sharing with me little tidbits of what he's planning, and boy, howdy, it is going to be fun. So
how dare you tease us with that? So rude.
You guys are going to want to tune in because it's going to be good. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great, great week. Stay safe. Be nice to one another. And we love you all very, very much.
Stay safe. Do good.